Lessons is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Being with Cam. Okay, so you know what? First thing we need to do is we need to go in here. Well, let's go change the name of the stream. Mm-hmm. Oh, I guess I can't do that. Oh, titles. Title. Presidential. No, we should use. Live reaction and financial markets. Update all. Updated. Okay. Okay, and then let's go in. No, that's not what we want. Oh no, wait, there we are right there. Okay, cool. But what I really want is, okay, I don't need that, don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Where is the link? All right, there's that one. And all right, share, copy. Post that one there. Come in. Good evening. We'll turn the squawk on. And we'll tweet about it too. Do this one. Okay. And then the link, of course, tweet. Okay. Okay. Sir. And I think I'm going to, oh, you know what, why? There we go. I hate it when it does this. Like, I have this thing where if you shake it, it like goes transparent. Sometimes they do that accidentally. And then I also think I'm going to move to tweets. Like, would you guys like to see the tweets? Let's split this out. Where can we put the tweets? No, not like that. President Trump has been told that a national emergency declaration, quote unquote, probably won't work. Okay. Well, so that's not going to happen. Yeah, well, we can go and see Ben McAdams. Maybe we should go do that. And I actually would like to have one here for the presidential address, but I don't know what they're going to be, what the tag is going to be. But I guess we'll just kind of wait and see, huh? I've got this all up here and loud, so when he starts going, we should be able to hear it. I want to see these. I want to see the orders. Yeah, perfect. Do they have a tag for the presidential address? You would think they would. Maybe if I go just to the Twitter main site and look for trending tags. Boycott Trump prime time is the trend right now. Well, Jim Acosta is up there too. But not helpful. Not helpful. Well, we'll just wait. We'll just wait and see what happens. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. They're not talking about it on my local area either. Oh. Okay, let's click the Zero Hedges link. Where are they posting it as? Blah, blah, blah. They posted the NBC News link. 20,000 people watching. That's not enough. There'll be more. Yeah. Here's the official link. Here's my, and then where did my link go? And just put it here and good evening. There we go. Get in. So what we're hearing already is that even though so much of the political analysis that I saw today was centered around, is Donald Trump going to declare a national emergency? Earlier today, they said probably he wasn't going to, and now we're getting more information. It sounds pretty conclusive that he is not going to declare a national emergency tonight. So he is just going to be the bully pulpit. So this is going to be interesting. This is going to be good. Treasuries are still pushing down. You know, it's funny to think that earlier today we were at like what, 28, something like that. We was way up there. Where did we start at?
We're seeing some positive news now from China. China's yuan rising 0.27% versus the US dollar. That's its strongest levels since December the 4th. Again, it suggests some level of optimism regarding a breakthrough in the trade discussions with the United States. Also now, just a reminder that at the top of this hour, President Donald Trump will be delivering a prime time television address on United States networks. At least 4 television networks are covering this live. We will be covering it live as well. Very likely, President Trump will be on time with this, but given the gravity of the situation, he will be talking about the border crisis, the government shutdown, and what he has described as potentially a national, emergency. So we'll see how and what exactly is going to come forth in this. We'll try to hold on to the more salient points from his speech. There no doubt will be some rhetoric. There always is, but we'll try and look out for the real sound bites there. So we'll be following that live for you. Donald Trump addressing the nation in the next 10 minutes.
Let's also see here. Yeah. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Where is there's like a live Reddit. Ah, yes, Reddit stream. That's right. Live SmackDown. I just put this over here. Find them on Reddit. r/politics.
And it seems like now's a good time to quickly look at some of the asset classes and how they're shaping up ahead of Donald Trump's delivery. So right now, the 10-year US Treasury yield is at 2.35%. So it's 2.735%. That's up around 2 basis points on the day. The US dollar index, that's at 95.75. That's down 0.16%. And in cable, against sterling, the dollar there at 127.42. That's up 0.19%. Finally, the US dollar against the Canadian loonie, that's at 132.42. That's down 0.23%.
Oh, yes, we have to turn the shields off, probably. Yes, there you go. And do they go to the top or to the bottom? Yeah, they go to the bottom. Okay. Why is my mouse all of a sudden not There we go. And now, but there's not an r/politics thread, or I would pull them up too. I'm sure there will be. Oh wait, here we are. Special discussion. Reddit stream. Okay. Let's see right here. Oh my gosh. Can you read this nonsense? Is there a link to the stream for the Democrats' response? Oh, I don't even care to. Let's see here. Is there a way for me to Is there a way to make it auto refresh? Maybe, maybe not. Well, it is auto refreshing. So we can do that. That's done right there. And I still have TweetDeck too. Let's just change this to president. Ah. Look at that. We want a national emergency.
we were pointing
my
out earlier, very
gosh.
much more down to US dollar weakness rather than strength of paired currencies. Right now, just looking at the US dollar index at 95.74. It's been nestled there for a few minutes now. That's come off a fair amount, in fact, in the last couple of hours. It's slid from 95.95 to 95.74. So again, quite a big move there as people brace themselves now for what it is that President Trump is about to deliver on prime
I wonder
time
if Trump
television
will
in
be
the United
tardy.
States.
I
Going
I
over to
bet you
that
they're not going to
shortly.
start exactly at 7 o'clock. Is my guess. Usually he does not start exactly at 7 o'clock. Traders must be up and looking at the DOM because it is moving. Orange is the new white president on mainstream media. That's funny. Sure, there's more than that. So let's change it to be like, no. Tweet content. How do I do it? I know there's a way to do this. Hold on. Engagement with at least, let's say 10 likes. Huh? There we go. And filter out some of the noise. Treasury is very much at their lows. I wonder if we're gonna wake up till tomorrow. Cause this Treasuries, they broke pretty key levels today, so I would say there's probably a lot more in it, don't you think? So yeah. It's now time for Game of Thrones. Excuse me. I mean the president's address. That's Ellen.
Okay, we understand that President Trump now is beginning his delivery he's at the Oval Office and about to address on the border amid government shutdown.
So I'm just going to open up another window here. Oh, okay.
My fellow Americans,
Here he goes.
tonight I am speaking to you because there is a growing humanitarian and security crisis at our southern border. Every day, Customs and Border Patrol agents encounter thousands of illegal immigrants trying to enter our country. We are out of space to hold them, and we have no way to promptly return them back home to their country. America proudly welcomes millions of lawful immigrants who enrich our society and contribute to our nation. But all Americans are hurt by uncontrolled illegal migration. It strains public resources and drives down jobs and wages. Among those hardest hit are African Americans and Hispanic Americans.
Okay, President Trump has begun his address by reeling out statistics saying how many.
Including meth, heroin,
we don't need to hear him.
cocaine, and fentanyl. Every week, 300 of our citizens are killed by heroin alone.
Very interesting that he's pushing that this hurts African American and other minorities the most.
More Americans will die from drugs this year than were killed in the entire Vietnam War. In the last 2 years, ICE officers made 266,000 arrests of aliens with criminal records, including those charged or convicted of 100,000 assaults, 30,000 sex crimes, and 4,000 violent killings. Over the
4,000
years,
violent
thousands of
killings.
Americans have been brutally killed by those who illegally entered our country, and thousands more lives will be lost if we don't act right now. This is a humanitarian crisis, a crisis of the heart and a crisis of the soul. Last month, 20,000 migrant children were illegally brought into the United States, a dramatic increase. These children are used as human pawns by vicious coyotes.
He brought out a lot of
and
stats.
ruthless
I'm wondering
gangs.
at
One in
how
three
hard the
women
media
are
is going to push
sexually
against
assaulted
this.
on the dangerous trek up through Mexico. Women or children are the biggest victims, by far, of our broken system. This is the tragic reality of illegal immigration on our southern border. This is the cycle of human suffering that I am determined to end. My administration has presented Congress with a detailed proposal to secure the border and stop the criminal gangs, drug smugglers, and human traffickers. It's a tremendous problem. Our proposal was developed by law enforcement professionals and border agents at the Department of Homeland Security. These are the resources they have requested to properly perform their mission and keep America safe. In fact,
He only say
safer
Vietnam because
than
his
ever
voters are
before.
all old from Vietnam War.
Proposal from Homeland Security includes cutting-edge technology for detecting drugs, weapons, illegal contraband.
So far, this
and
is
many other
not. There's
things.
nothing all
We
that
have
significant in here.
requested more agents, immigration judges, and bed space to process the sharp rise in unlawful migration fueled by our very strong economy. Our plan also contains an urgent request for humanitarian assistance and medical support.
So it is
Furthermore,
interesting
we have asked
that
Congress
he's
to
pointing out that it
close border
includes
security
things
loopholes
for,
so that illegal
housing
immigrant
and
children
stuff.
can be safely
That's a side I have
and
not
humanely
heard.
returned back home. Finally,
A case that I haven't been heard being made
law
yet.
enforcement professionals have requested $5.7 billion for a physical barrier. At the request of Democrats, it will be a steel barrier rather than a concrete wall. This barrier is absolutely
At the request of
critical to
Democrats.
border security. It's also what our professionals at the border want and need. This
Oh,
is
the
just
Democrats requested it.
common
Now they
sense.
have to give it to him,
The border
guys.
wall would very quickly pay for itself. The cost of illegal drugs exceeds $500 billion a year, vastly more than the $5.7 billion we have requested from Congress. The wall will also be paid for indirectly by the great new trade deal we have made with Mexico. Senator Chuck Schumer, who you will be hearing from later tonight, has repeatedly supported a physical barrier in the past.
Oh,
along with many
man.
other Democrats. They changed their mind only after I was elected president. Democrats in Congress have refused to acknowledge the crisis, and they have refused to provide our brave border agents with the tools they desperately need to protect our families and our nation. The federal government remains shut down for one reason, and one reason only, because Democrats will not fund border security. My administration is doing everything in our power to help those impacted by the situation. But the only solution is for Democrats to pass a spending bill that defends our borders and reopens the government. This situation could be solved in a 45-minute meeting. I have invited congressional leadership to the
Okay,
White
this
House
is kind of
tomorrow
more what I
to
was
get
expecting.
this done. Hopefully, we can rise above partisan politics in order to support national security.
So I mean, that's the thing that I think bothers me is that it would be so easy for Democrats to give in. They're not giving up that much to do
build
this.
walls, fences, and gates around their homes. They don't build walls because they hate the people on the outside, but because they love the people on the inside. The only thing that is immoral is the politicians to do nothing and continue to allow more innocent people to be so horribly victimized. America's heart broke the day after Christmas when a young police officer in California was savagely murdered in cold blood by an illegal alien who just came across the border.
Well, it doesn't matter whether the wall
life
is
of
a
an
good
American hero
idea,
was stolen by someone
right? Well,
who had
we'll get
no
into
right
that
to be in our
after.
country. Day after day, precious lives are cut short by those who have violated our borders. In California, an Air Force veteran was raped, murdered, and beaten to death with a hammer by an illegal alien with a long criminal history. In Georgia, an illegal alien was recently charged with murder for killing, beheading, and dismembering his neighbor. In Maryland, MS-13 gang members who arrived in the United States as unaccompanied minors were arrested and charged last year after viciously stabbing and beating a 16-year-old girl. Over the last several years, I've met with dozens of families whose loved ones were stolen by illegal immigration. I've held the hands of the weeping mothers and embraced the grief-stricken fathers. So sad, so terrible. I will never forget the pain in their eyes, the tremble in their voices, and the sadness gripping their souls. How much more American blood must we shed before Congress does its job? To those who refuse to compromise in the name of border security, I would ask, imagine if it was your child, your husband, or your wife whose life was so cruelly shattered and totally broken. To every member of Congress, pass a bill that ends this crisis. To every citizen, call Congress and tell them to finally, after all of these decades, secure our border. This is a choice between right and wrong, justice and injustice. This is about whether we fulfill our sacred duty to the American citizens we serve. When I took the oath of office, I swore to protect our country, and that is what I will always do.
Oh no,
So
I'm
help me God.
buffering. So
Thank
help me
you,
God.
and good night.
Wow. Okay, so it was only about 12 minutes. I am looking for the Democrat response here on a open stream here, but I'm not. It's PBS. Yeah, I don't see. I don't even know where to look other than CNN. So while I'm looking, let's talk. So the thing was, we're saying the wall is not a good idea. It doesn't matter if it's a good idea or not. It's like $5 billion. It's like a drop in the bucket. Just give him his fucking wall and let's get it on with, right? I'm just saying, he's not going to. This is his thing. He's not just going to give in on it, right? He's going to push and do everything that he can to get the wall. And, if we want the government shutdown to end quickly, the easiest way to make that happen would just be for Democrats to give in, because it's not like they're giving that much. That's all I'm saying. And it seemed, and I felt like he kind of made that point a little bit. It was very much like he used a very heartstring kind of trying to manipulate emotions, sort of a take, to say to the Democrats, hey, let's solve this crisis. I think that is going to be a message that is going to to help. I mean, I think that it will affect public opinion a little bit. Just because there's going to be I think there's a lot of people out there wondering, like, is it really worth it? Right? Like, government employees aren't going to get their paycheck this Friday. Is it worth it to prevent the wall from happening? So I don't think that very many Americans will say that it is. I'm still not seeing the I still don't see them. I'll just turn this one on here. Starting shortly, so they haven't started talking yet. Oh, here we go.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to speak directly to the American people tonight about how we can end this shutdown and meet the needs of the American people. Sadly, much of what we heard from President Trump
She's going to say it's all his fault.
Has been full of misinformation and even malice. The president has chosen fear. We won't start with the facts. The fact is, on the very first day of this Congress, House Democrats passed Senate Republican legislation to reopen government and fund smart, effective border security solutions. But the president is rejecting these bipartisan bills which would reopen government over his obsession with forcing American
Okay, that's not
to waste billions of dollars
a very
on an expensive and ineffective wall.
yeah,
A
okay.
wall he always promised Mexico would pay for. The fact is, President Trump has chosen to hold hostage critical services.
Look at Chuck's
health,
face.
safety, and well-being
I don't have it over here. Look at
and
Chuck's
withhold
face.
paychecks of 800,000 innocent workers across the nation, many of them veterans. He promised
Chuck's
to keep
face is going to be the
government
big
shutdown for
meme
months and
tonight.
years, no matter whom it hurts. That's
Nobody's
just
going
plain
to,
wrong.
like, I don't even think you're going to
fact
see
is,
that much from
we
Donald
all
Trump's
believe in
speech.
the
Everybody's
spirit
just
of
going to
the
post
roots
pictures of
while
Chuck
honoring our
Schumer.
values. We can build the infrastructure and roads at our ports of entry. We can install new technology to stem
Imagine it is your daughter being
drugs
assaulted.
coming into our nation.
Is like he is 10 years old writing it.
To facilitate
Yeah,
trade,
maybe, but
migration,
that sort of
and
stuff works on
we can
people,
fund more
though.
innovation to detect
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm
unauthorized
just saying, like, it
the fact
freaking works.
is, the women and children at the border are not a security threat. They are a humanitarian challenge, a challenge that President Trump's own cruel and counterproductive policies have only deepened.
So this line right here, I don't think is very useful to them because Donald Trump pointed out in his speech that a lot of the money is going to go towards being able to ease the humanitarian crisis on the border, right? That's it? Oh, Schumer's going to speak now. Okay.
We address you tonight for one reason only. The President of the United States, having failed to get Mexico to pay for his ineffective, unnecessary border wall, and unable to convince the Congress or the American people to foot the bill, has shut down the government. American democracy doesn't work that way. We don't govern by temper tantrum. No president should pound the table and demand he gets his way, or else the government shuts down, hurting millions of Americans who are treated as leverage.
He doesn't care about the people that are there.
Throughout this debate and throughout his presidency,
Maybe not.
President Trump
But
has appealed to fear, not facts, division, not unity.
the question is not, does Donald Trump care about the people that are there, right? The question is, does him saying that in a speech affect public opinion?
About the most effective way to do it. So, how do we untangle this mess? Well, there's an obvious solution. Separate the shutdown from arguments over border security. There is bipartisan legislation supported by Democrats and Republicans to reopen government while allowing debate over border security to continue. There is no excuse for hurting millions of Americans over a policy difference.
Okay, but we all know that would mean that the wall doesn't get built,
Families can't get a mortgage
right?
to buy a new home. Farmers and small businesses won't get loans they desperately need. Most presidents have used Oval Office addresses for noble purposes. This president just used the backdrop of the Oval Office to manufacture a crisis, stoke fear, and divert attention from the turmoil in his administration. My fellow Americans, there is no challenge so great that our nation cannot rise to meet it. We can reopen the government and continue to work through disagreements over policy. We can secure our border without an ineffective, expensive wall. And we can welcome legal immigrants and refugees without compromising safety and security. The symbol of America should be the Statue of Liberty, not a 30-foot wall. So our suggestion is a simple one. Mr. President, reopen the government and we can work to resolve our differences over border security, but end this shutdown now. Thank you.
Okay, so their speech was pretty short. Pretty short. I'm gonna move Twitter down over here now. Yeah, the Democrats didn't really say anything that I didn't expect. So the one thing that Donald Trump said that I thought was something I hadn't heard before, or a case in favor of the wall that I hadn't heard, was that he was saying that the $5 billion is not just for a wall, it's also for, housing shelters and court costs and all of these other things that would help them process people faster. And there was a couple of things that Schumer and Pelosi said. See, Adrian is already kind of reading my mind here. There was a couple of things where it was like Schumer and Pelosi kind of assumed what Donald Trump was going to say, and Donald Trump actually preemptively addressed their points in his speech, and they still said the things. And so when they said them, at least to me, and I don't know if everybody else gets this, if maybe they aren't following the issue as closely, but to me, it was kind of dumb when they were saying it, It was like, well, he just kind of already just showed that that's not the case, right? And the case of him saying that, we need to be able to process people faster and have, beds and stuff for the people that are being processed and stuff. I think when they turned around and, a couple of things that they said kind of were very hollow because of that. But the question is still, does it affect the calculus on the shutdown? And I don't think it does. I don't know if there was anything. I don't know. I don't think that the Democrats did all enough to really push their case. And so I would think that this continues to be a stalemate, possibly past the deadline on Friday when people don't get paid. Because that concerns me. But and as to he doesn't care about the people that are there. I mean, I don't know. He did say, a lot of the people that are coming over here, there's human trafficking and there is violence and rape from the criminals that are smuggling people over. And he expressed a little bit of sympathy for that. And he expressed sympathy for people that have been the victims of crime too. So, maybe he's just saying things like that. But I think that to a person that watches something like this and has some sort of an emotional impact, and let's be honest, everybody has at least some sort of an emotional impact from watching a politician speak like that. I don't know if that, that they would feel that way. Why there are tons of information available to anyone to do research and make decisions on facts. Why would anyone listen to politicians to make decisions on things that they aren't experts on? Well, yeah. So my problem with that one is that, here's the problem with the wall, right? Everybody seems to think that they're an expert. Like, I'm always seeing these pictures like, but if you put a wall on the southern border, look, they can just go this way, and there's or people can dig under the wall. And it's like, okay, yes, but the only people that I would consider to be experts on this matter is the Department of Homeland Security and the Border Patrol. And they want it. So, this is kind of a case where I don't think anybody actually cares what the experts think. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody actually cares what the experts think. Otherwise, it would just be like, hey, the government agency in charge of this says that we should do it and we need the money, and that should just be the end of it. You know what I mean? Doing research requires utilizing some brain capacity. Yeah, well, so here's the other thing though, so let me segue to something else that's been happening in politics this week. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was complaining about the fact checks on her, and complaining that there was 2 fact checks done on her that were like pants on fire. And, everybody was saying, it's the most Trumpian thing ever, complaining about being fact checked. Well, here's the thing. People are not very good sources of facts. They just aren't. And the thing is that when a politician speaks, people don't really pay attention to the facts. Your emotional brain does not necessarily listen to the facts. Like, we see this in trading all the time, right? Where it's like, I think it's going to go up, and I can list all of these reasons that it's going to go up. But then it doesn't. It goes down. It goes down, and afterwards you go back and you watch it, and you're like, how could I be so blind? I didn't see it. And of course, that's our emotions are in the way, right? And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said something that she really took a lot of heat for, and that was, she said that having all of the facts exactly right doesn't matter if your cause is moral. Well, I think there's truth to that, in that from a political analysis point of view, people don't pay attention to whether or not what the politician said was factual, even if they know the facts. Even if they know the facts, what they pay attention to is whether or not what that politician said is true to the way that they feel about the issue, right? You see, for many people, whether or not there is crime on the border, or that they really do need funds down there, not just for the wall, but for other things. If we assume that those are 100% true, and you know that it's true, if you're a Democrat, it's not going to matter. Because really, what matters is that Donald Trump's wall is a foolish endeavor that we shouldn't be entertaining, and he's just throwing a temper tantrum to get his way because this is the only way that he can do it, right? And that would be what they say. And so, unless your speech speaks to that feeling, your mind just kind of goes right through. Like, just look at what's going here in the r/politics. They're saying, they're all really liking what Nancy and Chuck said. And I'm sitting here like, well, it's pretty much like what I expected them to say. Honestly, it's pretty much what I expected Donald Trump to say. But I'm somebody that's paying attention. I don't know, maybe a regular person that's not paying attention wouldn't have heard all of those points, and maybe they might affect them and change some opinions. I don't know. So I'm seeing here, I want to go back. Where was it? They're saying that Bernie Sanders did a...
that thousands and thousands of terrorists are entering the United States from the southern border. That is also a lie. According to a State Department,
He didn't say that in his
there was
speech.
no credible evidence indicating that international
But
terrorist
that is
groups
what he's
have
saying
sent
is
operatives
true.
via Mexico into the United States. End of quote. That's not Bernie Sanders' opinion. That is a direct quote from Trump's own State Department.
I would like to hear him talk about things that Donald Trump just talked about.
Ex-presidents told him
Yeah.
that they should have built a wall. That is a lie.
So here again, as I'm seeing that politicians have an inability to react and adjust their speech based on what the president just said, but maybe that's too much to expect.
Trump said that we need a wall to prevent heroin, fentanyl, and other illegal drugs from coming into the country. Another lie. According to Donald Trump's own Drug Enforcement Administration, the most common method Mexican cartels use to transport illegal drugs over the southwest border is through legal ports of entry using passenger vehicles. And on it goes. In terms of immigration in this country, what we need to do is not to waste billions of dollars on a wall, but to finally address the need for comprehensive immigration reform.
Well, that would be nice.
Improved border security.
Oh,
It is
okay.
inhumane that tiny children at the border have been torn away from their parents. It is disgraceful that 1.8 million young people raised in the United States.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders is it kind of sounds like is making the speech that the Democrats should have made.
Legal protection under the DACA program because of Trump's actions. It is heartbreaking that almost 11 million undocumented people.
I'm a federal worker without pay and I support the president. I don't believe you.
Are hardworking and law-abiding, worry every day about being deported and separated from their loved ones. Sadly, what President Trump is trying to do is to create fear.
Yep, every politician pretty much said what they've always said.
Instead of trying to bring us together as a people, he is trying to divide us up. And in the process, divert our attention away from the real crises facing the working families of this nation. President Trump, you want to talk about crisis?
They all need software updates. Beep boop Trump bed.
Millions of our workers are earning starvation wages and are unable to adequately provide for their families. That's a crisis. You want to talk about a national emergency? 30 million Americans have no health insurance, and many more are underinsured. Thousands die each year because they don't go to a doctor when they should. And our life expectancy in this country is actually in decline. While the pharmaceutical industry makes tens of billions of dollars a year in profit, 1 in 5 Americans can't afford the medicine they need. Now that is a crisis we should be working on right now. And here's another crisis. Too many of our seniors are living in desperate poverty, and about half of older Americans have no retirement savings. Hundreds of thousands of young people cannot afford to go to college in this country, and over 40 million are trying to deal with the outrageous levels of student debt they are experiencing. What are we going to do about those crises?
Oh, we should become
The biggest
socialists.
crisis of all. The scientific community has made it very clear in telling us that climate change is real.
So this is kind of the problem with Bernie Sanders and why I don't think that he would stand a chance and is the Democrat nominee, because you notice how everything always segues into we should adopt these socialist policies.
Our planet, and the planet we will be leaving our kids and grandchildren, may well become unhealthy and even uninhabitable.
So it's already like he was making a really good speech and then he changed subjects to like college. I was like, okay.
We don't need to create artificial crises. We have enough real crises. Let us end this shutdown and bring the American people together around an agenda that will improve life for all of our people.
Okay, and that's the end of his response. Well, Bernie Sanders' response was a lot better than Chuck and Nancy's. I feel like Chuck and Nancy are just not very... How do I put this? They're not very visionary, you know? Like, they've been in there too long. Because that was... Their speech was really poor. And, like, all of this stuff that you've been seeing in Congress, like just the Democrats have made a couple of political mistakes here. First week of them being in Congress, couple of their members saying some crazy things and just generating negative publicity, which maybe matters or maybe doesn't. But any time that a member of your party does that, it does matter. I mean, it hurts Republicans all the time, and it really affects things when it comes down to voting. And you would think that the Democrats would foresee this sort of a thing. But it's kind of like there's this rock barreling down the road and they can't do anything about it. So they just stand there and stare at it. You know what I mean? If the wall is the wrong course of action, a waste of money that really doesn't help the illegal immigration, then why would you want them to give in and waste all of our money? Because I want the government open again. Seriously. It's like think of it this way. Pay $5 billion and the government's open again. Like $5 billion is fucking nothing, guys. They spend more than that on unapproved expenditures, things that Congress didn't approve and that they probably shouldn't have done. Okay, we give more than that to other countries in South America. All right. So I'm just saying, whether or not it's about the wall, don't pretend all of a sudden that everybody is a fiscal conservative. You know that it's not about that. You know that it's not about that. That's why I say it's not about whether the wall would be effective at this point anymore. Sure, if okay, I'll type it. Seriously. I just think that a $5 billion ransom to open up the government again is tiny. And as long as this doesn't become like a regular thing, 100% would do it. And honestly, it's been a regular thing anyways, so why the hell not? Maybe that's just really cynical of me, but I'm just of the opinion that if you want the shutdown to end, the easiest way to do this is just give him the fucking wall. It seems ridiculous to me that people expect that all of a sudden, after having done almost nothing but talk about this for like 3-4 years now, that all of a sudden he's just going to be like, okay, I guess we're just not going to build the wall, whatever. I didn't really care anyways. Come on. His ego would never allow him to do that. Never. It's sad because people get hurt from the government shutdown. The economy gets hurt from a government shutdown. I mean, that kind of gridlock in Congress is not necessarily a good thing. If we got a trade deal and the government shutdown was resolved, we could be so much higher in markets right now. Nate Silver already moving on to other things. So Kellyanne Conway is retweeting, while Chuck and Nancy used their primetime address to attack the president used the moment to highlight both the plight of American families affected by illegal immigration and the perilous journey for illegal immigrants. What a contrast. I do feel that Donald Trump focusing as much as he did on the the plight of people that are actually making that journey and all of the bad things that go on there, I think was a very good move on their part. I think that definitely helps them. But I totally understand your stance, but I'll never agree to make bad decisions just because that's what's been happening. Well, sure. I understand if you can go in and say it's better to not build the wall, right? That's a totally reasonable thing to say. The question is just, at what point does that not matter to you anymore? You know? Like, how long can the shutdown go before you sit down and say, maybe it's not worth it to stop it from happening? You know? Like, the government makes bad decisions all the time. Literally every bill has something in it that's garbage, shouldn't be in there. Every bill. That's just democracy, guys. Like, it's not efficient in that way. There's always going to be some sort of a compromise. And then, 10, 20 years down the line, they'll realize they made the mistake and then they fix it. It's slow, but, democracy only works because you kind of have to compromise and it forces the decisions to be made to be in the interests of the majority of the people. So it's the disadvantage, but it's kind of like a necessary evil, I feel. Nobody's going to vote for a wall. No politician wants to solve a problem, declare national emergency, and get it done. So the Donald Trump supporters are still just kind of like do the crazy thing. Joe Scarborough, and the president gained no political points with his speech tonight. It was a message aimed at the Fox News audience instead of the national audience he addressed tonight. White House wasted a primetime Oval Office speech tonight and got nothing for it. Okay. I have to say, I really don't. I mean, there was some good moves that he made and everything, but nothing that really changes the situation. So in that respect, I think Joe Scarborough is right. But you have to ask yourself, how much of his side of the story were regular Americans not exposed to, right? At this point now, there's no excuse, right? If, people have heard both sides of the story and they can make it there, you can't claim ignorance anymore. So we'll see. All right, we'll see if things change. I doubt they will. Indexes are impressed that he didn't go off the rails. Maybe. Really, though, we've fallen down so much in markets that it's not surprising to me at all that the equity markets are moving up. And if we get a trade deal, like, we could go and make a new all-time highs. Disaster averted, no recession. But let's not speak too soon. We're not out. Okay, here's Evan. Here's Mr. McMuffin. I'm not a fan of this guy, but for personal reasons, and I'm not going to tell you why. Tonight, the president uses his office to inspire unwanted fear and hate in the hearts of Americans. Okay. This is the work of a desperate, corrupt leader, not a president who seeks peace and prosperity for our nation. Will defeat him with truth, courage, and charity for all. He gets lots of likes awfully fast, doesn't he? Look at that already, 377. Tonight, we heard the same thing we've been hearing from the president for 2 years. He again offered no solutions. What remains? Well, okay. I'm going to have to stop you right there, Senator Tina Sif, because he did offer a solution. It's called building the wall. Let's be clear. The only crisis at the southern border is the humanitarian crisis President Trump and his administration created by ripping babies away from their parents' arms and locking up children. Okay, well, I do have to say also that the administration screwed that one up. But let's not pretend that if he didn't do that, that everything down there would be hunky-dory. Because we know that that's not the truth. And we're having caravans and lots of people coming down to the border. And if Donald Trump was not president, it would be crazy down there. There's less people coming just because of him. So in my mind, as a conservative person that is concerned about I'm not going to say I'm concerned about illegal immigration, but I want illegal immigration to end. And so from my perspective, anyways, AOC is on on MSNBC now, but I'm not gonna go and watch that because I don't have, that's not public stuff. Lots of people trying to really hit down that the speech was okay. It was nothing more than a low energy regurgitation of repulsive lies he has offered up many times before. Hello, Josiah. How's it going? Is it more like a daytime where you're at? Sorry, I had that window down. Fact is, President Trump must stop holding the American people hostage, must stop manufacturing a crisis, and must reopen the government. I do think that he is kind of like holding the government hostage. But that's the other thing you got to understand about this. Is the other interplay in this that I don't think that people realize. Conservatives, like the people over in this window over here on the right, are overjoyed that the government is shut down right now. I'm not. I think that there are people that need to get paid, and that kind of chaos is not a good thing. I don't think you should be afraid of it, because politicians definitely use the fear of the crazy thing to scare you into backing down and not doing what you really should do. But I think in this case, it would be better for everybody if the government was open, and he is holding the American people hostage. But it takes two to tango. It does take two to tango, unfortunately. Or, well, it should be fortunately. That should make it harder to happen, right? But of course, that's not the way it works. I had to laugh when Trump tried to sound empathetic. He even threw a baby in there for show. I find it interesting, the things that people construct in their minds to try and discount what somebody is saying. So if Donald Trump said something empathetic, then of course it was not real empathy. The orange man is not capable of that. And if Chuck and Nancy have a point about Donald Trump holding the government hostage, of course, they can't be serious either. Chuck and Nancy say they have bipartisan support, but the fact that they can't bypass a veto determined that was a lie. Well, yeah, so they do not, they have support in the House of Representatives. They do not even have a majority in the Senate. And it appears to me, at least right now, that if such a bill came up in the Senate, it would get voted down if they put it to an equal vote. Hard to say for sure because there's always going to be like those two that don't go for it. But I think that you would get, with Pence as a tiebreaker, I think you would still have the Republicans would still win. So what did AOC say? Let's see if I can find that now that it sounds like she's done talking. Let's just I'll just pull up another window here. Add another search. She's stupid, but she's stupid hot too. I looked them up, made them eye contact, and they quickly changed the subject. Does people think that she's attractive? Okay. I'm going to put that one under things that didn't happen for 500, Alex. Maybe I'm wrong, but that doesn't sound. I don't know. I personally listen. I like women. That doesn't do it for me. The crazy eyes. I love how they Twitchy already has an article out where they just okay, no, they're talking about something else. She tweeted something that was probably false. Oh, wrong one. A lot of. Oh wait, I need to scroll up to the top. That's why. She was on Regional Matter. The media sure does have a hard-on for her, don't they? What?
Make sure you subscribe for more. Today.
Nope. I don't want to watch your video. That was clickbait. Whoopi tells. Oh, let's see. No, I can't. Why am I not getting new ones? I would just want to see a quote from her. Come on. Almost everything. No. No, that's. See, why is it still giving me stuff from 2 hours ago? Oh, is she going to be here in Utah? That would be great. Trump is very concerned about 3 crimes committed by illegal immigrants, not so much about mass killings happening across the country, though. I wish he were this outraged every time a child is killed by a gun. An interesting equivalency argument, but from a emotional standpoint, one that I think would hold sway over many people. Cool beans. This is not really... Why is it Twitter not updating? Come on. Okay, so here's Politico's fact check article. Here are some of these. They're speaking to you because there is a growing humanitarian insecurity crisis. Everyday border and customs and border control encounter thousands of illegal immigrants. Enter, we are out of space to hold them. Okay. The notion that the number of border crossings represent a crisis, quote unquote, is not true. Well, that would be your opinion, but they are going to say something factual here. The number of people crossing remains below annual levels. Okay. So just because the number of people crossing the border has gone down does not mean that it is not a crisis. Okay. Border Patrol arrested 369,000 people at the U.S.-Mexico border in 2018. And they arrested an average of 400,000 people the year before. Okay. So it's like 95%. There's been like a decrease of like 5%. Listen. It was a crisis back then too. That is a really poor fact check. That one right there. In my opinion. Over the year, thousands of Americans have been brutally killed by those who illegally entered the country. This distorts the truth. Several studies show that immigrants are less likely to commit crimes. Well, yes, but that study was of legal immigrants, not illegal immigrants. See, here we go. They were 1/5 as likely to be incarcerated. This one, undocumented immigrants were half as likely to be incarcerated. Do undocumented immigrants commit crimes? Of course, but at lower rates than native border counterparts. That one's interesting because there are a lot of studies out there that show that there's like a large portion of the prison population comes from, like an outsized amount comes from illegal immigration. But I don't think that those two things are necessarily mutually exclusive, is it? Nor is it a reason not to defend the border, but I'm going to give that one to them. The wall would also be paid for indirectly. That's not true. Well, okay. Trump vowed during his presidential campaign that Mexico would pay for the construction of the wall, but Mexico's okay. He has said how many times that a trade deal would count. He said that January of this year. He said that would count. And I'm pretty sure I remember him saying in one of his addresses, although it would be super, super hard for us to find this, but I very much recall him saying that, it doesn't have to be direct, that we could do something like, tax remittances. So that one is not really a fact check at all. I have to say, if that's their best fact check, that is really pathetic. But that also means that those numbers that he cited, like the actual numbers, are real statistics. And they probably don't know where they come from because they probably don't actually have access to those statistics. You know what I'm saying? Okay, well, it's almost 8 o'clock here. I think I've blabbed enough. Thanks you guys for watching. I enjoyed your comments. Let's just check here, see if anything else interesting is happening just before we go. But I think you guys should get going because you got to go to sleep soon. It's like an hour and it's like bedtime, guys. So yes, and I think I may go and relax with a game or something. Yep. Okay. So yeah, I don't see anything. So I'm going to shut it down, and I look forward to talking to you all, continuing this discussion tomorrow morning, seeing kind of how people react after we've had, an evening to think about it. So later.